And that is 200 Premier League wins. Surgery, he is the fastest by some considerable difference. Surgery, he is the fastest by some considerable difference in the top flight, breaking Jose Mourinho's record of 320, breaking Sir Alex Ferguson's Premier League record of 322. Well, Erling Haaland was certainly eventfully in the headlines in that game. We saw Haaland was certainly eventfully in the headlines in that game. We saw his penalty miss in the first half. There was a bit of venom in the header when it finally went in from Jack Grealish's cross.
Yeah, it certainly was, and it's probably the first time as a back four, back five that they lost Haaland. Just see him, you pick him up in the middle here. Grealish does well because he takes his time, and just stands this ball up absolutely fantastically, saying, "Go and head me." And as you said, it didn't matter. And just his reaction after it as well, like, you know, the frustration of like missing a penalty and not had many chances, penalty claims, but he stands this up. It's, yeah, you're not missing that, are you?
No. And I did like his celebration. It was a sigh of relief, wasn't it? He didn't even celebrate, in fact. He was just... After all those missed chances, with a missed penalty in there as well. And as I say, it wasn't his best of games, but, I mean, he's got so many advantages over his opponents, height being one of them. And when he's got so many advantages over his opponents, height being one of them. And when you stand up to the back post, he's just not going to miss. Now,
I mentioned right at the start of the show, it was a big day for Kyle Walker, captain of Manchester City for the first time, back at his hometown club, Sheffield boy, Blades fan as a child. He must have been thinking at this stage, Michael, oh no, what have I done?
Yeah, absolutely. He played in a bit of a different heel in the penalty area there. Look, he's just lying there watching. He doesn't even get up to try to retrieve the situation. And I think it's important to point out as well, him being off the pitch, that's classed. And I think it's important to point out as well, him being off the pitch, that's classed as him being on the byline. So even though people might say, what about McBurney? He's in an offside position. Is he interfering with play? Well, Kyle Walker behind the goal there is
plays him onside. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. But that's a real big mistake. And he'll be the first person to go and congratulate Rodri in the dressing room after the game, thinking, thank you for digging me out of a hole.
And do you know the amazing thing is, the fact that he's lying off the pitch, it's almost like he knew what was coming. Like, you know, yeah. It was like it was going to end up in the back of the net, because he didn't try to get back on the pitch. He just watched it and thought, oh.
He did play an important part.
He just watched it and thought, oh.
He did play an important part.
Up on this. This looks like it's running out, but he chases it down as he normally does, and again, a bit of slack defending on Sheffield United's side, but he does really well, doesn't panic, gets the ball into Foden. Unfortunately, miscontrols it, but fortunately for Rodri, and he just smashes this in the back of the net. Great finish.
Foden gets an assist for that, you know, Les.
Does he really? So
I've been on this show many a time. I think people know how much I hate those assists, especially when those go. But what about the finish? That's not an easy technique especially when those go. But what about the finish? That's not an easy technique at all. Ball just bouncing in front of you, to keep it down like that with all the power, knee over the ball, great technique. What a fantastic, what a player, by the way. He goes under.
Okay, so Manchester City are the only team after 3 games to have. Okay, so Manchester City are the only team after 3 games to have a 100% record, courtesy of Rodri.
Be patient until the end, because they're very narrow, of course. Great credit to them. They defend so good today, difficult, minor spaces. At the end, we find in the first half, the first chance we have, that penalty, unfortunately we missed. That penalty, unfortunately we missed. But we keep trying until the end. Of course, yeah, when we score, so he scored for us, and then I think it was a big mistake. The goal cannot happen again, but I think the mentality of the game, we never drop, we keep going, and at the end I score, so very happy. Of the game, we never drop, we keep going, and at the end I score, so very happy.
With the mentality of the team, when you have so many chances, when you miss a penalty and they equalise so late, did it ever cross your mind that today just might not be your day?
Well, sometimes football is like this. Sometimes you try 90 minutes, you score 1 goal at the end. One mistake gives you a draw. But this is football, you know. We know the level of this league. You cannot drop. You cannot mistakes in this situation. So, but no regrets for the team. I think we did a great football today. Of course, we know it's a game of not many chances, but at the end we could win.
Tell us about your response to find that winner. What was going through your head? It only took you a few minutes. That anger, how do you channel it in the right way?
Wow, to be fair, I just analyze a little bit them because they be so deep. They care a lot of pay attention to the strikers trying to shoot. You can show me in the game. I shot like 6-7 times. Trying to shoot. You can show me in the game. I shot like 6-7 times. Not being successful, but at the end I found space. I knew feel the control is not gonna be good because the ball was strong. So I anticipate that movement and I shoot first touch. So yeah, very happy. Because I said before the season I could do more goals. I can be more.
Highly effective Rodri in the area to make it 2-1 and win it for City. But straight after that, Les, Amahodic, most of the footballing world expected the reigning champions to be comfortably ahead. It is not the case. They have had one golden opportunity, of course, from the penalty spot. Before we see that, any issues with the awarding of the penalty, Les?
No, I don't think so. When I looked at it, I always find he's a bit harsh because I think as a defender you're going to throw yourself at the ball, and unfortunately, because of the new rules, his hand's up there, and if it doesn't touch his hand, for me that goes back to Haaland and he gets a free shot on goal. So for me there was no debating it, and I think you can tell by the Egan's reaction to giving it away. As you see him here, he slips over and he knows he's done it. Look, he slams his hand down on the ground because he realises he's given a penalty away.
I think it's a penalty too, Steve. The only thing you would say is the proximity. It is very, very close, and I often find it harsh, but his hand is so far away from his body. And blocking, as Les says, the crucial thing is literally about to land at Haaland's feet, so I think it's a penalty too.
OK, so before today, Erling Haaland in the penalty claimed 7 out of 7 in the Premier League. Over to the man who missed 7 in the Premier League.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's 2 inches away from being the perfect penalty, isn't it? I know one thing is when you send the goalkeeper the wrong way, you think to yourself, oh, why was I trying to be so precise? We see maybe a little bit of encroaching from Sheffield United players, but you can read out the rule on that one, Steve.
Yeah, we'll tidy that one up in a moment. From a centre-forward's point of view?
Centre-forward's point of view, you sent the goalkeeper the wrong way and you're 2 inches off it being the perfect penalty going in the bottom corner. And that's the margins.
Good to know he's human anyway, isn't
Exactly, yeah.
The penalty can only be retaken, for those of you screaming at your tablet or the screen, if the player encroaching affects directly the outcome of the penalty, which it obviously didn't. Talking of penalties, should they have had more than one?
Yes. In fact, they should have had more than 2. I think they should have had 3 penalties. We've already seen 1. I think this is a second penalty. Haaland is just purely getting grabbed and wrestled to the floor in the box by Jack Robinson. We see it here, he's waiting for him, 2 arms around him, grabs him, throws him to the floor. VAR would have checked it. I'm surprised they didn't send the referee to the screen.
This one here, when I first saw it, I thought Haaland had hold of him first, but they're just manhandling him every time the ball comes into the box. He's trying to protect himself, and I know there's a certain amount of grappling that goes on between the centre-forward and the centre-half, but look, I mean, that one, I think, I'm not quite sure, because I think Haaland grabs hold of him first, because he knows what's coming. But in the end, they've got their arms around him and he goes to the floor.
What happened to the centre-forwards union, lads? Come on, you're going soft in your old age.
The first one is a $1 billion a penalty.
First one's nailed on for you, is it?
For me, because, look, he's just got hold of him. Look, he's not even allowing him to run. So what you're saying is anywhere on the pitch, I can go and just tackle someone, and it's not a free kick, or it's not because he's not near the ball. That's ridiculous. It's a penalty box. He's got his arms around it.
So when you're saying send him over, you think that's a howler? You think that's a clear and obvious error?
I think that's pretty obvious that both arms around a player wrestling him to the floor. I think
Jack's not even looking at the ball. When he first puts his arm around, he's not even looking.
I mean, there's no advantage whatsoever of a centre-forward doing that the other way round. He's purely trying to stop him in his tracks, and succeeds as well. And I think that probably should have sent the referee to the screen.
Wes Fodringham in the Sheffield United goal probably expected a really busy day. He's only really had to make one save. It was a good one, though, to deny Alvarez.
It was a really good save, and as you said, the one thing about Sheffield United, they've made it very, very difficult. As much as they've stood in their box, they've made it difficult, and that was a great through ball. One of the first few balls that came into the box, Haaland does brilliant here, gets a turn on, and you expect to see the net bulging, but a great save from Fodringham. Just got his hand to it.
Yeah, that last angle was the key one, wasn't it? You could see the ball just sneaking into that near post. The goalkeeper Fodringham makes himself big and smothers it away. You would expect Manchester City to work the goalkeeper far more than that one time.
Absolutely. In that first 45 minutes, the champions have had over 83% possession.
الإيفواري كيسي ينقذ أهلي جدة من الأخدود. أنقذ أنقذ الإيفواري فرانكيسي أهلي جدة من السقوط في فخ التعادل مع ضيف الأخدود عندما سجل هدف الفوز المتأخر في المباراة التي جمعتهما يوم الخميس في الجولة الثالثة من دوري روش للمحترفين. واستغل كيسي تمريرة بالرأس من زميله البرازيلي روبرتو فيرمينيو ليضعها يمين حارس الضيوف، مسجلا هدف الأهلي الوحيد في المباراة بالدقيقة السادسة بدل الضائع. ويملك الأهلي 9 نقاط في المركز الثاني خلف جاري الاتحاد المتصدر بفارق الأهداف، بينما يملك الأخدود نقطة واحدة في المركز الرابع عشر. أما الاتفاق والخليج، وتعادل الاتفاق مع ضيف الخليج بتعادل سلبي التعادل الإيجابي 1-1، إذ تقدم فابيو مارتينيز للأخير في الدقيقة 29 قبل أن يدرك فيتينهو التعادل لأصحاب الأرض في الدقيقة 50، ورفع الاتفاق رصيده إلى 7 نقاط في المركز الرابع، فيما حصد الخليج نقطته الأولى ليحتل المركز الخامس عشر.